So if we talk about the young generation, a question for both of you, should we start teaching in school maybe with a topic like ecological awareness? To start teaching that in school?
I mean, of course you could do that, but I think it would be better to include that aspect in all other subjects, so that we show that everything is connected.
I am not a bigot. I am a good global citizen and believe all the socially acceptable things that the good grown-ups at the big banks tell the TV screens to tell me to believe.
Welcome to the planet, my dears. Wipe your feet. Come on in. No more need for coats in your mother's den.
What do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population. Because where we are, there's nothing else.
And do you have views about what should be done about that?
Can't you guess?
Then the doors burst open. The king and queen walk through. There's our precious daughter. If they did not know what love meant, who would?
I am so happy that Prince Philip, friend of Jimmy Savile and father of philanthropist and champion of science Jeffrey Epstein's close friend Prince Andrew, and enlightened scientists like Bill Nye will come up with solutions to the #climate crisis. I believe when the TV tells me that science says the Earth is dying because of climate change, which is why I became a vegan activist, but I wish we knew how to stop it so poor Prince Philip and Greta can have their futures back.
Growing population is a problem, but notice that the rate that the population is growing, human population is growing, is slowing down. It's apparently raising the standard of living of women and girls, people like you. As women and girls get better educated, they have fewer kids, and the kids they do have more resources, so they're better taken care of and they are more successful.
And I think that was the biggest aha to Bill and me when we got into this work, is we asked ourselves, of course, the same hard-nosed question you'd ask, which is, if you get into this work and you start to save these children, will women just keep overpopulating the world? And thank goodness the converse is absolutely true, because they don't do that.
In this year's annual letter, Melinda and I take the toughest questions we get asked and give our answers. One that's come up for a long time is, as we make the world healthier, is the population going to get so big that feeding everybody and maintaining the environment is going to be impossible? We find that in every country of the world, this is repeated. The population growth goes down as we improve health. That the faster we improve health, the faster family size goes down. And so we can feel great about saving those lives.
Having a child means that your net carbon output per year in tons is 59. From one child is 59. Going on a vegan diet removes 0.8. So if you have a child, that's literally making up for like 70 vegans.
That's
you know,
exactly
if you go car free, if I live in Manhattan and I don't drive, I am the equivalent of 3 vegans. If I wash my clothes with cold water, if I hang them to dry, and I recycle everything, that's the equivalent of 1 vegan diet.
I am so glad my educated wife knew better than to have children. It gives me more time to become a better version of myself. If we did have kids, she wouldn't have this great job and I couldn't have gotten the vasectomy from Dr. Gregor that her corporate health insurance paid for. My wife's boyfriend suggested I take a break from playing my Nintendo Switch and doing hardcore vegan activism in YouTube comments a few times a week to meditate or exercise, but even my spiritual leader, Sadhguru, is concerned about the #climate crisis. Maybe he has a viable solution to this real and not made up crisis that is going to make everything bad happen if we don't do what the good grown-ups in government, banks, and the media tell us to do.
Unless you reduce the human footprint on the planet, there is no solution for anything. Then they ask me a brilliant question, how do we can take it upon ourselves that we will not push the human population. You can have a dog.
he promoted this on television, and he went around all the agricultural shows, and he had he was a one-man thing, and it had a tremendous effect. It reduced it from 3% to 1%. But one of the things he said to the farmers, he said, look, you don't need all these children, it's ridiculous. You've got to feed them all, clothe them all, educate them all, and look after their health. So have a few, and then if you want to go on entertaining yourself, have a vasectomy. Oh, yes. Well, how do I do that? Well, I'll organize it for you. We'll have buses running into Bangkok on the King's birthday, very auspicious day. And you will go into, and he took over a whole lot of school halls and all that sort of thing. And he showed me a photograph of all these beds and everything. And people went in, and I said, but how did they take it? Well, he said they didn't like Britain. Oh, I said, really, how do you do that? I had visions of, putting up. Oh, he said, it's quite simple. I blindfolded them.
Hey, what's that gadget?
Global
Television?
citizens breaking news. I am not a bigot. I am a good global citizen who takes the recommended daily dosage of vitamin TV to keep me in a state of anxiety, agitation, confusion and learned helplessness. I am not a science denier. I trust the experts. I do not deny science. The good grown-up experts from science on the TV interrupt this totally real and not made-up #climate crisis to bring you information from a more important and totally real death threat from a global pandemic virus. We must all listen to the experts from science and obey the TV and participate in this totally necessary and justified, mandatory panic.
Spoiler alert, you're a scientist.
What I will say of this virus, I think we're in the middle of a massive experiment worldwide. And that
where are the guinea pigs?
Maybe. The experiment is, will people listen to scientists? In this case, referring to medical professionals.
Medical professionals.
In this particular case.
Say Anthony Fauci over at Allergy and Infectious Disease.
For example, and are you washing your hands? And are you taking these precautions? These are warnings offered by scientists. And
for our own good.
For our own good. And I'd be interesting if we all paid attention to what scientists say, obeying the recommendations of scientists. It's an interesting experiment we're in the middle of.
Report by Johns Hopkins researchers and said that as many as 6,000 children a day could die over a 6-month period from preventable causes because of healthcare system disruptions caused by the coronavirus. Our next guest, Greta Thunberg, recently gave $100,000 she had received for her climate change activism to UNICEF to help protect kids from the pandemic. She's also helping raise even more money for UNICEF. She recently revealed she believes she may have had coronavirus after returning home from working in Europe. She said her symptoms were very mild, and her father, who had traveled with her, also got sick. We spoke to Greta Thunberg earlier this afternoon.
During this crisis, during any crisis, it is always the most vulnerable people who are hit the hardest, and that is children.
Because there's so much focus on coronavirus, there's a lot of kids around the world who may die of things that are very treatable, but because medical systems are overwhelmed, it's going to impact children in ways that a lot of people don't really anticipate.
Coronavirus! I have to say as well, I mean, Anderson and I have traveled around the world and seen the amazing work UNICEF has done in various places. I mean, it really is a terrific organization. Children's Emergency Fund.
I am so scared. If the extra non-essential people don't all obey science and stop working, wear masks, obey social distancing guidelines from science, and stay home until the good grown-ups tell us it's safe again, everything bad will happen always and all the people will die. The models clearly show that this is necessary and we have no choice but to listen to the experts from science. I am not selfish. I am a good global citizen who does not hate children and grandma. I will listen to what this brave, grassroots 16-year-old human shield tells me to do. I am not a bigot. The science is settled. We must accept a new normal. My wife's boyfriend is an essential worker on the front lines. He is a university graduate and a department manager at Walmart and understands the science and the models. He assures me that this is the right thing for us non-essential people to do.
Things I've seen you talk about online too is just how important it is to listen to experts and listen to science. And this is a time when, you know, I was not a very good science student when I was in school, but this is a time, it seems, that, you know, the global scientific community is so critically important, and we're really seeing just how important it is to follow science.
Yes, exactly, and I hope that we can see now the scientific community are stepping up, and they are speaking up more than they're done before, because obviously this is a crisis that would require the scientific community to speak up, and I hope that people really, it feels like science is getting, the role of science is changing now. It's becoming more, people are starting to realize that we are actually depending on science and that we need to listen to scientists and experts, and I really hope that that stays, and that also is for other crises such as the climate crisis and the environmental crisis, that we actually understand that we have to listen to the scientists.
If the world was vegan, there would be no COVID-19. Up until 10,000 years ago, there were no epidemic diseases. What changed? We domesticated animals.
How's it going? I hope you're being safe out there and in good health. And certainly, I hope you're having enough toilet paper at home. Corona emerged due to the consumption of meat. What can I do in the future to prevent this? Leave the meat off your plate. Don't buy any animal products, and don't consume anything that an animal died for, or has been raped for, or has been tortured for. You know what I'm saying? So in order to avoid a pandemic in the future, you might want to look into your current diet and see what consequences to have an animal on your plate might have on a global scale. And you're seeing it right now. You know, this is a small taste.
American philosopher John Rawls devised a thought experiment called the veil of ignorance. He suggested that when trying to determine a moral course of action on an issue that affects multiple people, we should make that decision from a veil of ignorance in regarding which person we will be. For instance, when designing a social policy that affects two different classes of people, one can imagine that once this policy has been designed, one will be placed somewhere in this society with an equal chance of ending up in either of the two classes. The idea is that placing oneself in a veil of ignorance when designing societies or social policies for that matter should result in a more fair and just society where everyone's interests are considered equally. The British government has now put restrictions in place to slow the spread of this virus. People in the UK are only allowed to leave their homes for specific reasons. This includes shopping for necessities, medical care, and travelling to and from work if it's absolutely necessary. Shops selling non-essential goods have been closed, as well as gyms, libraries, places of worship, and gatherings of more than 2 people have been banned. It's extremely important that these measures are enforced and that we practice social distancing, because potentially every one person can set in motion a chain of events that results in thousands of people being infected. Despite this, it seems that many people in the UK aren't taking this seriously, with photos emerging of packed tube stations and crowded parks. The mortality rates can be expected to increase over time if no countermeasures are put in place to flatten the curve, with hospitals becoming overrun with cases. Sure, if you ignore these guidelines, you may not ever see the victims of your actions, but I can't see how that's morally relevant. If I buy cow's cheese, directly affecting the supply and demand and causing more cows to be tortured and killed, I'll never see my victim, but I'm still morally responsible for their suffering and death. This is especially the case when we consider that the government have now told us extensively the risks of leaving home and not practicing good hygiene. We have now been told countless times that more people will die if we do not take this seriously. One argument is that going outside is going to give you a large amount of pleasure, and that you'll be missing out on something if you don't go outside. Perhaps there's a social event you really want to go ahead, or you're just bored of social distancing. This is essentially the same argument that non-vegans use when trying to justify killing animals. If we don't think that we can justify killing non-humans on the basis of pleasure, then surely we can't justify killing humans on the basis of pleasure. I mean, come on, what next? Perhaps you also think that because lions don't self-isolate, humans shouldn't either. I think we all know that the behaviour of lions isn't an excuse for humans killing animals or humans. You may also think that Hitler self-isolated and he was a vegetarian. And while it's true that Hitler did self-isolate before his death, what Hitler did and didn't do is irrelevant to what we should do. To be fair though, if God wanted us to self-isolate, why would he give us legs? Another argument people may use is that the quicker we all get infected, the quicker we reach herd immunity. This of course is true if a virus can only infect you once, which we are not certain of when it comes to coronavirus.
Wow. That is some of the most powerful science I've ever heard. I feel so helpless and afraid, but comforted that the science has a plan to fight this terrible real death threat from this pandemic. The essential workers at the hospitals need our help. We must stay home and implement a global lockdown until the good grown-up experts like philanthropist Jeffrey Epstein's close friend Bill Gates come up with a happy, safe, healthy injectable science medicine to make us immune and healthy. Luckily, this won't affect my vegan activism, which is done anonymously in social media comments. I just wish all the non-essential people would listen to us empowered science-affirming activists and stay home and eat plant-based kibble so we can win the battle against the invisible enemy. Toxic masculinity and science denial seem to be at the root of this problem. It seems like both the hashtag climate crisis and this pandemic can be remedied with the same medicine. A global totalitarian technocratic social control grid of government-enforced mandatory poverty, and a new normal that redefines old, outdated concepts like freedom, healthy diet, family, and masculinity.
What do these 4 countries have in common? And that means more women in positions of power, and less of the macho stupidity and sociopathic behavior that we get from Bolsonaro in Brazil, Boris Johnson in the UK, or Trump here in the United States.
These toxic masculinity exuding non-essential extra people who refuse to wear their healthy muscles, stay home and accept mandatory unemployment are infringing on my rights. These science denier irresponsible non-essential people are the same bigots who wouldn't listen to the good grown-up philanthropists who tried to help them sterilize themselves and give up their non-essential rights to travel, eat meat, have jobs, own land, and reproduce in order to save our poor sick mommy Earth from all the toxic CO2 exhalations that the experts say the nasty extra people are off-gassing.
The act of killing the animal wasn't the masculine trait back then. It was the act of providing for your homes, right, was the masculine trait back in the day. Gender roles change, right, but this is back in the day, right? The masculine act was to provide and to look after and to defend. But we've conflated that with the masculine thing being aggressive, but also killing animals. And so you translate that feeling to a 2019 context, and you have people thinking, actually, to be manly means to eat meat, but actually to be manly doesn't mean to eat meat. It means to look after, right?
My favorite vegan activist can help re-educate these ignorant science denial lockdown phobes. They just need some inspirational speeches from positive male role models to teach them to accept the new normal. Earthling Ed can help them understand why masculinity is not about eating meat, or having unnecessary things like children, jobs, guns, testosterone, real animal foods, and rights. If only more men would be like Earthling Ed, we would not have viruses because people would not eat animals, or toxic masculinity because men would be comfortable with their lack of masculinity and redefinition of it.
Getting women to find you attractive, and it's really grotesque when you watch these adverts and you simplify what's happening in these adverts and what's being reinforced to people, but it really, really works. Like, advertising is so powerful. So now you have this idea of that, and then as a vegan, I get accused of being a soy boy, right? And now I am a soy boy because I love soy. Like, that's fine. I drink soy milk, I eat tofu. But the idea is being a soy boy, you're feminizing yourself, right? Because there's phytoestrogens in soy products, which there is.
This brave, stunning activist has me literally shaking with self-empowered, redefined masculinity and an unstoppable drive to stay home and stop this virus and the hashtag climate crisis by continuing my hero's journey of vegan activism in YouTube comments and on my anonymous Instagram profile. Real masculinity is not about having or providing for a family and children, producing and eating real animal foods, or having unnecessary testosterone and muscle and rights. Real masculinity is about using female emotional manipulation techniques to make people behave like you want them to. Thank you, Earthling Ed. I stand with you and your not toxically masculine man bun and proudly declare.
I am a soy boy because I love soy. Like, that's fine. I drink soy milk, I eat tofu. But the idea is being a soy boy, you're feminizing yourself, right? Because there's phytoestrogens in soy products, which there is. Like, you know, this idea that we have to reinforce these tropes of what it means to be a man. And so almost eating meat's a stamp of that dominance and authority and is a reminder of kind of like more archaic and transgressive masculine traits and roles, which is interesting.
Hello, good global citizens. What's up, guys? Oh, it's finally raining here. We had like a month with no rain, and we got a surprise June rain, so I'm kind of stoked. You can hear it. You guys hear that? We got some intense rain happening right now. Really big drops. It almost sounded like hail a minute ago, so it'll probably calm down. If the audio's a little bit rained out, that's not static. That's just the rain. Look at all these not racists in the chat. Just by you guys coming here, you show that you are part of the solution. Right, guys? We're standing here together. We stand here together against the hashtag climate crisis. We stand in solidarity against, what else? What other crisis? The COVID crisis, right? And we stand together to chant empty slogans and to demand things like justice, right? We want justice, equality. We demand it. What do these things mean? Hey, don't bother asking us. Ask the good grown-ups that fund our movements, right? All right, so we got some bigots in the chat, already sending some super chats. What's up, William Kareen? William Kareen sending $2. Thanks a lot, William. Always supporting the chats here. I know William and his lovely wife are members on our private members forum. We're going to do our next chat, our next coaching call in our group chat in our private members forum probably on Friday. So, William, I'll see you there on Friday if you guys can make it. I hope you can. And he says, let's get these bigots in the house. That's right, guys. Get the bigots in the house. Stay home. Everybody. Do you know how to save lives? Everybody in the chat, do you know how to save lives? Stay home, save lives. Unless, we've got an addendum there. Unless there's a corporate influenced revolution that benefits the elite, then it's fine to leave your house. But mostly stay home. Stay home until the blue check marks tell you it's okay, right? The good grown-ups with the blue check marks will tell you when it's not okay to stay home, when it's better to stay home, and when you're allowed to go out. All right, so location 515. What's up, dude? Sending $20. Location 515. I'm from California. I say dude all the time. Just because I say dude, I don't even, you might be a lady. You might be a lady. You might be a man. But you sent a nice super chat. You started, and you've actually, so far, you are winning the super chat competition. Super chat contest. We're going to do a contest today, guys. Whoever can send the nicest, most generous super chat with the most powerful declaration of why you're a good global citizen, or perhaps a suggestion on how we can all be better global citizens, you guys will win. So you'll win the Good Global Citizen Award through sending your super chats here. May the algorithm have mercy on all of you. Location 515 says, let's get this started, man. Thanks, man. Del Bridge, what's up, Del Bridge? Sending $10. Always appreciate it, Delbridge. Glad you could make it to this one. Very glad you could make it. I hope you're staying inside. I hope you're wearing your muzzle. I'm sorry, your mask. I'm sorry, the veil of ignorance, as Humane Hancock would call it. We must wear a veil of ignorance when designing society. And if we all will don our veil of ignorance, if we will all don our veils of ignorance, then the good grown-ups with the blue check marks and the good grown-ups at the big banks and the corporations can show us exactly the type of society we truly want built for us, because we aren't good and grown up enough to think for ourselves. So Delbridge sent it $10. Thanks, Delbridge. Says, I'm on a break at work. God bless you. Lastly, I notice most people are hypocritical. They say they want a world of peace, but feed the beast. In order to see change, we must become it. There you go, man. That's what's up. People say they want peace, then what do? They promote violence. Right? They say they want peace, but then they promote degeneracy. They say they care about people. They say they care about health. Then they put the PP in the poo-poo. The Stoic Edgelord sends Australian $10 and doesn't even say anything. Thank you, Stoic Edgelord. Your edginess and your lordiness are appreciated here. And I appreciate that there aren't too many edgelords in here. Sometimes you get these people on a stream who just seem like they're just trying to get your stream taken down with their stupid edgelordiness, with that try-hardy edgelordiness. I'm glad that you're not one of those. You're a stoic edgelord. So thank you for that super chat. We got Silverman sends £2. I think that's pounds. Sends £2. I'm pretty damn sure that's pounds. Says, I started my keto carnivore journey thanks to you. Right on, man. Or woman. Silverman. I don't know. Maybe you're gender binary. I'm not sure what you identify as. Maybe you're trans vegan, like me. But Silverman, I appreciate that. And I'm glad you did start your keto carnivore journey. How's it been going so far? I'm glad you caught on to it. I'm glad I could be of use to you. We got a lot of people who've also started their keto carnivore journey recently, or who've just been trying to refine their approach in our private members forum. You guys can join that by clicking the link in the description below. Become a member of primaledgehealth.com to get our support, get in on our weekly coaching calls. And yeah, so thanks a lot, Silverman. Appreciate that. Hench Fartivore sending €5. Hench Fartivore. You have one of the best names. You and James Aspie. And Joe, what was it? Well, then there's also Broke, Dark, and Gregor. Another one of my favorites. Damn, this is the hardest rain we've had. This is actually too hard of a rain. Slow down. Slow down. Here, you guys want to see? That's hard. Let's see. Let me look that way. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell how hard that rain is falling, but you can see over there. There you go. It's falling so hard, it's bending my storm drain. The storm drain's making a little waterfall out there. But you know what? It's good because it's feeding our animals. This is going to grow some nice grass to feed our animals, which is awesome. Caleb Skaggs, what's up, dude? Says I slaughter animals for work. Sending that $5 super chat. Thank you, Caleb Skaggs. Slaughter animals for work. That makes me a climate change activist. Hey, that's right, man. You're also helping the population crisis. Also helping the population crisis. So I want to thank you for doing your part to reduce the carbon footprint by reducing the number of feet. Remember, most of the animals that human beings eat have 4 feet. If we could just transition to eating more animals with 2 feet, then we can help Sadhguru to stop the climate crisis so that the human beings can all die, so the planet can flourish, he says. All right. So that's all the super chats for now. Thanks, guys. Always appreciate the support. We will continue this competition to see who can send the best good global citizen, the most generous, but also the most informative on how to be a good global citizen super chat. But we got to get started here. Speaking of crises, right? There's so many crises. There's so many crises. If you watch the news enough, you will believe that there's so many crises. There's so many crises out there, and that's what we're about to talk about. But first, we've got one more super chat. Stefan. See, when it says PH, I usually say Stefan, but I don't know. I'll say Stefan. Stefan Masarangelo says, love your streams, brother. First time I've caught one live. Keep going on. About to move my wife and children to a 2-acre property and start homesteading. Thanks for the inspiration. Right on. Hey, I'm super happy for your family. You know, I mean, we feel really fortunate to be able to live where we can homestead. If this rain calms down, we will be able to continue homesteading if we don't get washed away by these bullet-sized raindrops that are falling on us right now. And I think a lot of people right now are thinking about leaving cities. And whether it's to go homestead and produce their own food or not, you know, it doesn't really matter. A lot of people just want to get out of the cities because they want to be in a place that's safe for their families. They want to be in a place that can't be lit like a tinderbox every time the media gaslights everybody into freaking out. Right? They want to be somewhere where they can actually protect their communities, where they can actually grow their own food, produce their own food. All right, so you've got okay, this is in the chat. It says escape from LA. We've got a bunch of we've got a whole bunch of Snake Plisskens out there looking to escape from New York and escape from LA, because it is a mess right now in these big cities. It is a freaking mess right now in the big cities. And we've been saying this for a long time. People are going to want to move out of the socially engineered cities. We've been saying for a long time that they were working on something that's going to resemble this color revolutions that we've seen sponsored by NGOs worldwide. And here we go. Now it comes to the U.S. Unfortunately, I thought this was going to happen. I was calling it months ago, but I didn't think it would be about race. I didn't think these riots would be about race. I thought it was going to be about food. Honestly, I thought it was going to be about food. Travis Statham's up in NYC. Any questions? Travis Statham. We got location 515. Tristan goes through the first hour just reading super chats. Hey, you know what? I'll keep reading those super chats so as long as you guys keep sending them, because you know these are going to get demonetized, and I keep my audience happy. But don't worry. We'll get back to the great prophet, Dr. Greger. The prophet of the vegangelicals, Dr. Greger. After we read a couple more super chats, Doth4580 says, I'm a good global citizen. Doth4580 say, he is a good global citizen. Sadhguru will tell you that it is very, very good idea for you to put on your muscles so that you can enjoy being good global citizens as well. Del Bridge said another $20. Thanks, Del. Says Tristan, do you think it is possible to build a righteous micro society with people that follow Christ? Not a cult like the Waldenses. Also is the best place to find a woman in church. All right, yes, the best way to find a good woman is definitely going to be a God-fearing woman, right? It's definitely the worst places to find a good woman are going to be universities, protests, vegan cafes, shit, what else? Planned Parenthood. Those are places you don't want to go meet a woman. Is it possible to build righteous micro-societies? You know, I mean, it's possible to build good communities of good quality people. Look at the microclimate. Speaking of micro, check out the microclimate now. Now it's sunny outside. We got a patch of sun illuminating out there, and the rain has stopped. So let's hope it just calms down, gives us a light rain to just feed the pasture and not flood us out and wash out our soil. So yes, it is possible to build good communities where you can protect your communities, right? Where you can have your children growing up around other children with similar values. All right, I mean, most of the big cities are built on the cult of nihilism, right? It's built on the foundation of sand, of the cult of nihilism. Nothing matters. We make up our own meaning. Right? Whether you believe in God or not, I think most of us would agree that results in degeneracy, that it results in what we see right now, in the big cities. So yeah, man, I do think it's possible. That's why we came here. Is it perfect here? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We love it though. So, anyways, we got major issues in Ecuador too. We still have the COVID-apocalypse here. Everyone's still wearing their pussy masks. All right, Bulk Hulk sending €2 says, when I breathe without my masks, Bill Gates gets sad. That is a very good global citizen comment, and I appreciate that. All right. Aaron Garner, what's up, dude? Did you switch your accounts? Aaron Garner, isn't Aaron Garner? What is your actual handle, your other handle? Aaron the Big Black Dude? Or is that a different Aaron Garner? We've got Fwank Tufanal in the chat. There we go. The famous Fwanky Tufanal, a.k.a. Broke, Dark, and Handsome. Broke, Dark, and Handsome's in the chat. Notice I didn't ban you, Fwanky boy. But Fwank banned me from going to his chat when I invited him on to debate me. When I invited Fwanky Tufano, a.k.a. on Chatterbait, Broke, Dark, and Handsome, a.k.a. Stinky Fingers Fwanky Boy, a.k.a. Fwank Tufano. When I went over into your chat, you banned me because I was reminding your audience what a dishonest, disgusting little liar you are. So Fwanky Boy, if you want acknowledgement again, you can go ahead and send me 2 $100 super chats like you did during my last stream with Sean Baker. That was really cool. Fwanky, if you want to sit at the big boy table, why don't you come on for a debate, Fwanky Boy? Or why don't you send your super chats and I'll read them out loud if they're $100 or more. All right, Fwank Tufano, good to see you in the chat, little Fwanky Boy. Let's see. All right, so we're moving on here. Thank you guys for the super chats. Appreciate that. Keep those coming. Thanks for the support. Let's talk about the next big real threat, right? The totally real threat. We've got the hashtag climate crisis. We've got the patriarchy. We've got, what else? What else do we have? COVID, the COVID crisis. 0.03% death rate. Travis Statham met Fwank. He's an asshole. That's a good double entendre there, right? Because we all know Fwanky also likes that word. Yeah, a lot of us here are very familiar with Fwanky Tufano. You guys make sure to support Fwank so that he can get his next unnecessary cosmetic surgery, so that he can become the social media starlet that he deserves to become. Right? So Fwank, Fwank, I want to thank you. I want you to continue. Thank you for the reminder. I want you to continue advertising your channel, paying for ads before my videos, right? Because most of these videos are demonetized. So it's really, really cool to know that your money is actually going to the monetization of my channel. The little money that YouTube sometimes gives us on the videos that don't get demonetized, they usually start out with a Fwank Tufano. For the Fwank Tufano, a.k.a. Broke, Dark, and Handsome on Chatterbait. Male prostitute Frank Tufano. Thank you for advertising on my channel. You are helping to keep this semi-monetized. All right, guys. So, the apocalyptic virus that would make COVID-19 seem irrelevant. Leading scientist warns of the danger of a pandemic triggered by chicken farms that could kill half the world's population. Did you hear that? Half the world's population. Ooh. There was another... Okay, here we go. No. All right, well, we had some... I'm not going to bring that one up about the Daily Mail, but back to the task at hand. We have the Daily Mail in the UK giving us the totally real news about the totally real threats, right? Climate crisis, patriarchy, white people, right? Inequality, right? Come on now. COVID, right? COVID, 0.3% death rate. They are always here for us. Let's read this article. Let's see how they're helping protect us from this crisis that is made by eating meat, just when we seem to be